Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So the past 24 hours have been quite the roller coaster, okay? It's been a silly, goofy time. Now to make a long story short before we get into the details, yesterday a One Piece podcast decided to file a false copyright strike against my channel because I made a recent video criticizing artwork made by one of its co-hosts. The situation got out of hand very quickly and eventually YouTube had to step in and remove the strike and reinstate the video. But in this process, I've learned a lot about this channel, and today I'm going to talk about it because the cardinal rule when it comes to content creators is to never file false strikes against people who criticize you. So let's begin where it all started. It's this video right here. Like I said, it is now reinstated, and I'm going to censor the artwork I talked about and any artwork featured on this channel because I'm not going to give them a second chance to strike this channel. If you want to see the artwork, you can visit the old video for yourself or look at my tweets where it's uncensored. But nonetheless, I made this video talking about this person, Steve. He is an artist and he is one of the co-hosts of this podcast. He made art featuring the character Yamato from One Piece. This is something we've been talking about recently. There is a controversy where people believe that this character is trans. Now, to describe the artwork to you, this artist made Yamato flinging her hand in disapproval of someone's outreached hand containing a copy of Yamato's official card. This is a card that was supervised and approved by the creator of One Piece himself. And they drew little stink lines coming off of it. Basically, the message of the artwork is they are disregarding the word of the person who created this character because the card contains information that states that Yamato is female. Okay, they are arguing with Oda's own words. That's why I found this to be disrespectful. Also adding little stink lines onto the card, basically saying Oda's opinion is unwanted and gross. That's why I made the video. This is a publicly tweeted piece of artwork. I had every single right to talk about it in my video. Well, apparently they disagreed. So through their One Piece podcast YouTube channel, Steve and this podcast strike down my video, okay? Not only did they take down the video, they also applied a copyright strike to my channel. And if you know how YouTube works, 3 strikes, your channel might get terminated. It's a big deal. Now, to add on just for your own knowledge, when it comes to the YouTube copyright system, there is an option to request a takedown of a video without applying a copyright strike. There is that option. So these people went out of their way to add in the extra measure of applying a strike to my channel as well as taking down the video. They are just that petty that I disagreed and criticized their artwork featuring Yamato. That's how petty they are. They would go this far. So obviously this is a big deal. And of course it comes from this One Piece podcast group that Steve is a part of. So here's their channel. This is their YouTube channel. I don't think this is like their main platform. It's actually their personal website where they host most of their content. So if you go there, you can see that down here, Steve Yurko is the co-host and artist. And notice he has been there since 2009. This podcast has been going on since 2009. So these guys know exactly how all of this works, and they should know better than to file false claims against other content creators because you're upset about their opinions. Okay, and again, I'm censoring all of their animated profile pictures because I'm not giving them a second opportunity to file a false claim against this channel. So yes, here's the players at work. The One Piece podcast and their co-host Steve. So normally what happens is you have a chance to go out and contact the people filing these claims against you and try to work it out. Now, of course, you can see the One Piece podcast had me preemptively blocked. They're an account with nearly 50,000 followers, by the way. They're not some innocent small account, okay? They can defend themselves. But they had me preemptively blocked. So I think to myself, okay, maybe I'll talk to Steve and see if I can work this out. Well, at that time, Steve did not have me blocked, which is kind of surprising, but he did have his DMs closed to the public. Meaning I can't send a direct message to him unless we're following each other, which obviously he's not going to follow me back, right? So at this point, I'm locked out. I can't talk to any of the parties involved. They have me completely blocked. There's no way I can reach out to them privately. And here's the thing. They're basically forcing my hand because now I have to do the one thing that every YouTuber does in these situations, and that's take it to Twitter. Okay, that's the best way to force YouTube into action. It's a sad process, but it works. Okay, I've had to do it before and it's very successful. It gets YouTube's attention. And unfortunately for them, it also brings attention to their actions, but we'll see about all that in a second. Let me just clarify here. At this point of the copyright takedown process, normally I work it out with people, almost every time. The only time I've ever had to escalate things to the point where the claimant has to show that they're taking legal action against me, otherwise their claim gets dropped. The only time that's happened is with corporations like MiHoYo, and they end up just not filing anything, and then the claim gets released after 30 days. But normally when it comes to individual people like content creators and artists who file false strikes on my channel, 100% of those strikes that I've dealt with, and it's around 10 on my channel over the years, I have worked it out privately. I have talked to them in DMs, whether it's on Twitter or emails with their business accounts, and I have worked it out. And pretty much the script runs the same every single time. I reach out to them, I politely explain why I have a problem with this whole false strike, and I reassure them that they are in the wrong here, and hopefully we can work it out. And they almost always come back with the same response. They say, while I disagree with whatever you said in your video, it made me mad, but I now realize I took it too far by filing a false strike. And then they apologize. And you know what happens after they apologize to me? I take down the video. They release the claim, and then on my own volition, I'm not required to do this, I end up taking down the video myself, out of respect for having a genuine conversation and having someone admit they made a wrong. I find that to be encouraging, and I reward that behavior by taking down the video. Oftentimes that's already been out for days or weeks and is not getting views anymore anyways. So yeah, that's the situation, and they fumbled the bag by locking me out and preemptively blocking me. We could have handled this privately, but they didn't want that. So of course, I make my tweet sharing all of the related evidence and calling them out and tagging YouTube as well. And it got a great deal of support, okay? I can't thank you guys enough for supporting this tweet. It got a lot of attention really fast because nothing mobilizes people more than abusing the copyright system. It is the cardinal sin of content creators to file false strikes against other content creators, okay? You know you messed up big when you have people in the replies and quote retweets saying, I dislike Rev, but this is too far. That's when you know you royally messed up. And like I said, it got a lot of attention and a lot of support. And unfortunately, it immediately got the attention of Steve, who would, very shortly after my tweet went live, he would private his account, which, by the way, privating your account with 20,000 followers, like, what? Why even bother? But nonetheless, Steve, despite privating his account and hiding after being called out, he would be still reading my tweets, don't worry. Because only 2 minutes later after posting this, Steve blocked me. Which is beyond petty because at this point, his account is private. I can't visit it anyways. So he added this extra layer to publicly show that he's seeing what I'm reading and he's that mad about it. Of course, also, not only am I blocked by their official podcast, I'm blocked by basically every listed member of their crew, okay? They are somewhere there's some group chat out there. They are seething in the group chat telling them to block me on Twitter preemptively, and they're all private. The only one that's not private is the main account. But yes, that is the situation. At this point, it's very obvious they know they're guilty, okay? They know that they're in trouble and people are onto them, and they're trying to hide. And that shows me guilt. It shows me they know they messed up. And luckily for me, I wasn't the only one who knew they messed up. YouTube did as well. They actually intervened and did a complete drop of the claim. They came in and dismissed it. Now, you can read the language here. It says that they removed the claim because the request was missing some legally required information. Now, they also go on to say they have the right to add in this legally required information, and they could file another claim, but for now, the video was reinstated and the strike removed from my channel, which, give credit where credit is due. Big W by YouTube, okay? They took care of this in only roughly 5 hours since my tweet went out. They did a good job. They intervened at a process they normally don't do, by the way. I want to clarify that. So in this stage of the copyright process, normally what happens is they file their strike against me, And I respond under threat of committing perjury, by the way. I respond with a form basically saying I find this all to be BS and I'm going to dispute it. At that point, it is sent not to the claimant, but it's sent to YouTube, who reviews the claim, my counter notification. They don't decide the claim. They don't say, oh, dismissed or approved. They just decide if my counter notification is going to be sent back to the claimant, where then it's sent back to the claimant, in this case, the One Piece podcast, who gets 10 days to decide whether they want to go forward with it or not, which is obviously very stupid because only one time in the history of my channel has the claimant actually said, you know what, you're right, I'm letting go of the claim. They obviously would keep going, and then it gets a lot sloppier. Then you start getting into legal action, potential legal action. So YouTube, on their own volition, they didn't even review my counter notification. They just cut off the process entirely. That's a rare move for YouTube, and it shows that they're very proactive in this situation, which was a very, very good thing to see. And of course, I have to take the victory trot around the bases. I have to celebrate this on Twitter, and a lot of people are happy. And again, thanks for all of your support on this situation. But this whole thing raised a lot of concerns. So at this point, now I'm taking a deeper look into the rabbit hole that is this One Piece podcast, okay? I never knew they existed until literally yesterday, and now I'm going down and finding all these concerning things about their channel and some of their members. So listed on their YouTube page, they have this channel feature here showing people who are friends of the show. These are either just friends of them or people they have collaborated with. Look around, guys. Those are some pretty big names that have been collaborating with this podcast, including members of the industry and YouTubers with millions of subs. It's a big deal, okay? These are people who I'd be very, very interested to see how they would react to this situation. But also, there was one name in particular on this list that pissed me off. Totally not Mark. Now, the reason it pisses me off is not because, he's totally Mark. I have a lot of respect for Mark. The reason it pisses me off is because it shows they are unbelievably petty and they have not learned from the bad things that happened with Totally Not Mark. So about a year ago, he was involved in one of the biggest anime YouTube related controversies in history. One day, Mark wakes up to have 150 of his videos forcibly took down by Toei Animation. All of these videos were talking about One Piece. Yes, One Piece. So in that case, they abused the copyright system to take down his reviews of these One Piece, contained within these One Piece videos. Okay, this was a huge, huge controversy. Everyone talked about it, okay? I feel like I was a drop in the bucket, but, because when people like PewDiePie were talking about this, they probably made much more of a difference than me. But I talked about this when it happened because I was pissed off, because it is so frustrating to see people abuse the copyright system to harm not only someone's channel, but their livelihood as well. That's why I talked about it. And it was a very big deal, a very big deal. And apparently the One Piece podcast learned nothing from that situation. It's so disrespectful to compare those two things. They see this, they're friends with Mark, and yet they would turn around and also abuse the copyright system the same way Toei Animation did to take down my criticism of their One Piece arts. That's the crazy thing. But the rabbit hole goes deeper, okay? So you go to their channel, if you visit their personal page, which I'm not going to show because I don't want to get more copyright strikes, they have unofficial One Piece merchandise that they sell there, okay? And from my understanding, it seems like Steve, the artist we've been talking about, is the one making the fan art that they're using to sell this merch, okay? Obviously, to state some very basic things here, it's not like they're stealing or purchasing products directly from Toei Animation and then they're just simply reselling them, okay? They're using the likeness of One Piece to sell this unofficial merchandise. That's very clear that they're using the likeness of One Piece. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not stating anything concretely. I'm not accusing anything definitively. I'm just raising some concerns and questions, and hopefully people who know more than me can fill in the gaps. Here's the thing. If you're using the likeness of One Piece to sell your unofficial One Piece merch, I would imagine you have to have a license to do that. You can't just do that without a license to that product. But here's the thing. I know who holds the licenses to these merchandise rights. I know all the companies because it's listed publicly. And here's one of those lists. I think this one's a little bit older. I'm sorry it's small, but you can Google it for yourself. Here's all of the companies that have licensing rights for merchandise when it comes to One Piece. This one might be a little bit of an older list because in 2022, there actually are more companies that were added to this merchandise rights group. And this was in 2022, right from Toei Animation's press release. These are all the new companies they added in 2022. So this is very recent. Looking through both of those lists, I do not see the One Piece podcast listed anywhere. In fact, when you filed the claim against my channel, it also showed the LLC that you filed the claim under. So now I know the LLC that you're working under. And guess what? Don't see it anywhere. I don't see your podcast and I don't see your LLC anywhere in these lists of rights holders. So it begs the question, what would Toei Animation and other rights holders think if they found out that you're selling One Piece unofficial merchandise using their likeness on your personal website? Again, not a lawyer, not accusing them of anything definitively, but it's a pretty fair question to raise when it comes to this merchandise that they clearly don't have the right to. But nonetheless, where are we? What was learned today? Well, I don't think anything was learned for these guys. It seems clear to me that they are still burying their heads and acting like nothing's happening. It doesn't seem like an apology's coming. And honestly, I think it's a little too late at this point because not only did they file this BS copyright strike against my channel, they also immediately went into hiding the second they were called out for it. And that is cowardly, and I have no respect for it. And the thing is, the only account that's not private currently is their main One Piece podcast Twitter account. And here's the thing. Again, just shows how guilty they are. They just continued like nothing's happening. They're just continuing to tweet and act like nothing happened. Meanwhile, everyone in the replies and quote retweets are beating their ass because they have seen my tweets and now are going to see this video. And it's just crazy to me that they're just going to act like nothing happened. They just want to continue like, we don't care. It's unbelievable to me. They're just digging their own grave. And yeah, I really don't know what else to say in this situation, but that's where we're at. And really, there's not much else to say. I can just say that I appreciate all of the support. It was overwhelmingly positive from you guys, and I really do appreciate it. And yeah, this is something no one should have to put up with. I don't play around with strikes, and neither should any other creator out there. And you got to do what you got to do. And hopefully this video was a bit informative for everyone. Please drop all of your comments in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.